Well, it was midnight in Bethlehem, 0 AD. There were a couple of people in difficulty. Out on the street with a donkey and wife, Joseph had reached a bad point in his life with the kind of a problem that won't go away. A woman in labour and nowhere to stay. See, the root of it all, if you boil the thing down, was there was just too many people in too small a town. See, when they dreamed up the plan of administration for a poll tax on all of the Jewish nation, well, only a bureaucrat, someone like Rome, would send everyone back to their ancestors' home. For little old Bethlehem, it wasn't designed to cater for David's prolific line, but the problem was there and he couldn't disown it. They'd left it too late. Joseph had blown it. See, if only they'd finished packing the evening before and not gone back to check they'd locked the front door. They'd not missed that turning at the roundabout or filled up the donkey before they set out. If only he had booked on a National Express, well, that would have done nicely. But this was a mess. There was no room at the inn, there was no room anywhere. And so they were given the only place that was spare, and the promised Messiah was born that night on the floor of a stable without any light, and where they cut the cord and cleared up the mess, and they wrapped him in somebody's workaday dress. And while Mary sat there, exhausted and cold, well, Joseph stood by, feeling helpless and old. For this wasn't the way it was supposed to be, when the angels had told them that destiny had chosen them to look after the Holy One. Now, this was a farce. What God had done was to entrust the care of the Saviour instead to a man who couldn't even find him a bed. See, if only he had planned it more carefully then. If only he could go back and do it again. He turned round in his mind the ways he had blundered. He walked round the stable and he started to wonder if it all was a lie and if he was a fool, the object of everybody's ridicule. And if the dreams of the angels were tricks and were not what they promised to be, and Joseph's anger grew hot, he was breathless and wild. But he stopped in his tracks when he saw the child. For Joseph fell silent as suddenly he realised that this was how it was supposed to be, that the smell and the dark and the dirt and the pain were not Joseph's mistake, but God's choice once again. Well past midnight in Bethlehem, Joseph knew that people would be saved despite all they might do. Now, he couldn't control it, he didn't understand. He felt like a child himself in God's hands. He thought of his anger, and he flushed now with shame. Then he remembered that the angel had said that the child's name would be Jesus, God Saves. And then he looked up and he saw that day had dawned. And from the floor, Mary gazed at him quizzically from her straw bed as the tiny God-child cried out to be fed. And so Joseph went to the business of this new day. He gave the child to its mother and to the donkey some hay.